Namaste, you're on the Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narasimhan, and we start with news coming through, ladies and gentlemen, which are setting the alarm bells ringing because Iran has put up the red flag of retaliation, and this has set up the entire conversation around the fact that there may be a conflict brewing in the Middle East. Is the Middle East in the throes of a war or a conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia? That's the big question that stands out, because the top story is that Iran has raised the red banner of retaliation over the dome of the Jamkaran Mosque in Qom City, which amounts to a declaration of war. The last time this red banner was raised was when the head of Iran's elite Quds force, Qasem Soleimani, was assassinated in 2020. Reports suggest that Iran may start a military operation against Saudi Arabia very, very soon, and many are saying that it could happen within the next 24 hours. Reports claim Saudi Arabia has shared intelligence with the US and warned of an imminent Iranian attack. This has led to an increased military readiness by the US and other military forces in the Middle East. Abhishek Jha is with us, and we'll try and go across to Professor Asif Daudi, founder of the Indo-Arab Helping Hands, joining us from Jeddah very soon. But first to Abhishek. Abhishek, and what does this imply or mean for India? If there is a war brewing,
that Iran and Saudi, they have had always this proxy tension, and Iran has been supporting proxy militia which have been attacking Saudi's economic establishment. In fact, several months ago, few drone attacks from the Houthi militants attacked Saudi establishment, and it wiped out almost 1/3 of its oil base and the capacity of reserve also. So there has been regular attacks from the drones from Houthi militants, which are supported by Iran, and the tensions have always been there. In the backdrop of latest decision of Saudi to cut OPEC plus, that grouping's decision to bring down the cost, to bring down the oil exploration and inflate the prices globally, has not gone down well with the USA, which has always wanted Saudi to increase the production so that the prices and the inflationary pressure across the globe could be maintained. So in this two dimension of this whole conflict that we can witness in this area that is happening, USA and Saudi, who have been very good partners, are not at a very good term in these days. Meanwhile, the latest report that we are also having is also coming from the Saudi intelligence officials talking to US counterparts, and then US intelligence official giving these inputs that there could be a possibility of Iran attacking Saudi in the next 24 to 48 hours. The veracity of these reports are not official, but yeah, intelligence officials have been reported by several media that there is going to be a tension in that region of the world.
Right. Thank you for your inputs, Abhishek. We'll also try and go across to our Professor Asif Daudi, who's joining us at this point. Professor Daudi, what is the talk down in Jeddah? Are they expecting this conflict to escalate? What does this putting up of the red banner on top of the Jamkaran Mosque mean?
Anand, we all know the role of Iranian government and Iran in this region and how they create instability in the region. It's not at all a kind of retaliation, but it's a kind of provocation. And at the same time, it's a kind of frustration that we know that what kind of internal domestic turmoil Iran is facing because of this hijab protest. And the entire world is having a note of this. So they are kind of frustrated. They have been doing these kinds of activities in this region. And it's a kind of, one kind of villain, I must say. And it's something which the world must take note of this. We all know that what kind of changes we have seen here in Saudi Arabia and what is happening there in Iran. When we talk about women empowerment, when we talk about hijab, when we talk about social, economic, political stability, etc. We know that the entire world is now looking at Saudi Arabia, how they are trying to engage with Saudi Arabia because of its mission and vision 2030, and how the Prince MBS has transformed many things, and the world is coming to this region. On the other side, you look at the negativity that Iran has, the Houthis attack, proxy wars, and the militia that they have been constantly trying to damage this region and especially attacking Saudi Arabia. We know about the OPEC's result, and we know how the entire world is divided into blocks. At this point of time, Iran is just trying to deviate the attention of the world. Iran is just trying to divert the attention of the world that they are not able to handle the situation within The domestic problems are there, and now they are trying to have another scenario that they are trying to target the neighboring countries, and they are trying to create a situation where there is a regional instability. So this is something that must be
but can
condemned,
Iran, in
and
the face of
entire
so many sanctions, the fact that it is also struggling economically to be able to sustain itself, can it actually afford a war? Or is
Not
this
at
now
all.
you're looking at nations taking positions here, and there is a larger geopolitical game at play?
There is a larger geopolitical game, Anand. I agree with you. But Iran will not be able to sustain. Iran is not in a position to sustain and control the war within, the domestic civil war, and the biggest one. They are not able to control that. You know, as per the media reports, there are hundreds of lives already gone.
So is
And
it
they
to
are not
shift
trying
attention
to,
from
you
there?
know, they have been
Because
shifting
they're
the
also
attention,
planning
and they
about
cannot do
2,000 public
anything.
trials on the protesters.
Yes, despite the frictions in the world blocks, different blocks in the world, despite the problems within, let's say, US or European countries or Russia and Ukraine and India, despite all these facts, all the Muslim countries are with Saudi Arabia. The world, the major players of the world will be with Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia has a vision at this moment, and they are moving towards the right direction, and they are trying to bring, you know, economic and other vibrancy in the region. That's why Iran is not in a position to digest all these political and social changes here. And at the same time, while Iran is having the internal issue, you know, how big is this issue? The entire world, and most of the world media is not trying to cover this. Indian media is doing that, Saudi media is doing that, but they should all try to condemn, and they should try to stand together that how Iran should go to the, back foot. Because we know the Irani militia and how they are attacking, you know, through Yemen, how they are trying to have the regular attacks on Saudi Arabia. And this is not at all retaliation from Iran. This is, I repeat, it's provocation and it's frustration, and the world is watching, and Iran has to pay it one day or the other.
But what is the talk? Because the Saudi officials are saying in the next 24 hours there could be a certain amount of escalation from the Iranian side. There is heightened activity in the Gulf region with US increasing its naval presence there. What is the estimation in Jeddah? Is this going to be a long-drawn affair, or is this just perhaps a short, sharp response from Iran, which will be countered by Saudi Arabia? Does Saudi Arabia want the conflict to be raised, or is there hectic back-channel parlays that are going on to ensure that there is a certain level of de-escalation? Is this, like I am asking you, you keep saying it is for diverting the war within, attention from the war within Iran to try and escape that. Is that the only reason, or are there other dynamics at play which even Saudi Arabia cannot perhaps manage? Is there a tussle within the OIC also?
There are many angles to that. As per the media reports, Anand, we can see that this is alarming. And of course, the defense and other things are on alert from different regions. As far as Saudi Arabia's, you know, the concern, as you said, like in what is happening in Jeddah, and everything is normal. There's nothing of this sort. This will be for a short period of time. The nation is, I believe, ready as per the media reports. And I think this is not new. The world knows about this. And it's not only to divert the attention, as you rightly mentioned. There are many aspects when you talk about OPEC, when you talk about the financial and the global impact of Saudi Arabia, you know, in this region. All, as I mentioned, that Muslim nations or Muslim countries are with Saudi Arabia. The other countries, major players are with Saudi Arabia. So Iran is not in a position to digest all these things. Having said that, Iran is trying to create a situation where they can divert the situation at the same time. Saudi Arabia, as we know, we have been living here for, you know, I myself have been living here for more than 2 decades. We have heard different kinds of news of missile attacks in the southern region of the nation, you know, Abha, Jizan, etc. And it's all because of the Iran's sponsored attack through Houthis attacks. So these are not new things, and Iran, I tell you, will have to pay a bigger price, and the world will teach a lesson to Iran if it does any sort of these kinds of nuisance this time, I tell you.
Right. Thank you for your inputs and for joining us, Asif Daudi, and we'll continue to